Best Actor of the Year, Gene Hackman receives his Oscar from Liza Minnelli.
The mysterious deaths of Hollywood icon Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy.
Gene Hackman, the Hollywood legend, is known for his unforgettable roles and commanding presence on screen. His death, however, has left fans in disbelief. When the FBI uncovered unsettling details surrounding his passing, the truth was far more disturbing than anyone expected. What they found could change everything we thought we knew about the final days of this legend. Stay tuned as we dive into the mystery behind Gene Hackman's death and the shocking discoveries that followed.
Bulldozer in on the black kid's body.
Early life of Gene Hackman. Before diving into the events leading up to Gene Hackman's passing, let's first take a look at his early life and how he built his career, as one thing can indeed be truly linked to the other. Hackman was born on the 30th of January 1930 in San Bernardino, California. His parents, Anna Lyda Elizabeth and Eugene Ezra Hackman, raised him alongside his brother, Richard. His mother was originally from Sarnia, Ontario, Canada. The family moved around quite a bit before finally settling in Danville, Illinois, where they lived with Anna's mother, Beatrice, who was born in England. Hackman's father worked at a local newspaper called the Commercial News, handling the printing press. By the time he was 10, Hackman had already made up his mind that he wanted to be an actor. Life took a difficult turn when his parents split up when he was 13. Not long after, his father walked away from the family, leaving them to figure things out on their own. During his second year of high school, Hackman attended Storm Lake High School, but by the time he was 16, he had decided to leave home. Wanting to join the United States Marine Corps, he lied about his age and ended up serving for about 4.5 years as a field radio operator. His time in the military took him to China, where he was stationed in Qingdao and later in Shanghai. When communist forces took control of the mainland in 1949, he was sent to Hawaii and then to Japan. After getting discharged in 1951, he packed up and moved to New York City, taking on different jobs to get by. Life threw him a tough blow in 1962 when his mother passed away in a fire caused by her cigarette. At one point, Hackman decided to study journalism and television production at the University of Illinois using the GI Bill. But he didn't stay long as he left before graduating and made his way back to California. Gene Hackman's career. Gene Hackman kicked off his acting journey in 1956 when he joined the Pasadena Playhouse. That's where he met Dustin Hoffman. Neither of them was seen as having much potential, and Hackman even got the lowest score ever recorded at the school. But he didn't let that stop him. Determined to prove himself, he moved to New York, where he shared living spaces with Hoffman and Robert Duvall. He took on random jobs while trying to land acting gigs. At one point, he ran into an old teacher who made fun of him for working at Howard Johnson's, which only pushed him to work even harder. Though the road was tough, he kept going, landing small parts in TV shows like Route 66 and The Defenders, along with off-Broadway performances. By the 1960s, things started looking up for Hackman. He landed roles in Mad Dog Call and Lilith, but the real turning point came in 1967 when he played Buck Barrow in Bonnie and Clyde. His performance was so strong that he got nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. More roles followed, including parts in Downhill Racer and The Gypsy Moths in 1969. He was originally cast as Mr. Robinson in The Graduate, but he ended up being replaced because he looked too young for the part. The 1970s turned him into a true star. First, he earned another Academy Award nomination for I Never Sang for My Father in 1970. Then, he won Best Actor for playing Detective Popeye Doyle in The French Connection in 1971, a role that made him a household name. After that, he took on major roles in The Poseidon Adventure in 1972, Scarecrow in 1973, and The Conversation in 1974, which even won the Palme d'Or at Cannes. He showed off his comedic side in Young Frankenstein that same year, and later returned as a determined cop in French Connection 2 in 1975. But perhaps one of his most famous roles came in 1978 when he became the unforgettable villain Lex Luthor in Superman, a character he would play again in later sequels. During the 1980s, Hackman took on a mix of lead and supporting roles. One of his most memorable performances came in Hoosiers in 1986, a film that is still seen as one of the greatest sports movies of all time. Then, in 1988, he earned high praise for his role in Mississippi Burning, which got him another Academy Award nomination. He kept his career going strong into the 1990s, reaching a major milestone in 1992 when he won his second Oscar for playing a ruthless sheriff in Unforgiven. Over the years, he continued showing his versatility with roles in The Firm in 1993, Crimson Tide in 1995, Get Shorty that same year, and The Birdcage in 1996. As the early 2000s rolled in, Hackman kept delivering standout performances. In 2000, he appeared alongside Morgan Freeman in Under Suspicion and starred with Keanu Reeves in The Replacements. The next year, he acted alongside Owen Wilson in Behind Enemy Lines. That same year, he took on a leading role in the crime thriller Heist and made a brief appearance in The Mexican. One of his most celebrated roles came in 2001 when he played the quirky head of a dysfunctional family in Wes Anderson's The Royal Tenenbaums. His performance won him a Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Motion Picture Musical or Comedy, earning him plenty of praise. In 2003, Hackman joined forces again with his longtime friend Dustin Hoffman for Runaway Jury, a legal drama based on a John Grisham novel. The following year, he stepped into the world of comedy with Welcome to Mooseport, which turned out to be his last film. That same year, his incredible career was honored when he received the Cecil B. DeMille Award at the Golden Globes. The award was presented by Michael Caine and Robin Williams, a fitting tribute to his lifetime of contributions to cinema. Gene Hackman's novels and retirement from acting. Gene Hackman didn't just make a name for himself in movies. He also became a published author, writing several novels that explored different historical and fictional stories. In 1999, he teamed up with undersea archaeologist Daniel Lenihan to write Wake of the Perdido Star. This book takes readers on an exciting sea adventure set in the 19th century, following a young man caught up in a dangerous journey filled with mutiny, survival, and revenge. The novel was praised for how vividly it described life at sea and how real the characters felt. 5 years later, in 2004, Hackman and Lenihan released Justice for None. This book takes place during the Great Depression and tells the story of a lawyer who is wrongly accused of murder. The novel dives into heavy themes like corruption, injustice, and redemption. Interestingly, Hackman took inspiration from a real crime that happened in his childhood hometown of Danville. In 2008, Hackman and Lenihan worked together again to release Escape from Andersonville, a novel of the Civil War. This story follows a Union officer who breaks out of a brutal Confederate prison and fights to free the men he left behind. The novel was praised for how well it researched historical events and how gripping the story was. Many readers admired how the book balanced intense action with deep emotions, further proving that Hackman had a real gift for storytelling. Venturing into solo authorship, Hackman released Payback at Morning Peak in 2011. This Western novel tells the story of a young man's pursuit of vengeance after outlaws massacre his family. Set against the rugged backdrop of the American West, the book explores themes of love, loss, and retribution. Reviewers praised Hackman's authentic depiction of the period and his ability to craft multifaceted characters, noting that his transition from screen to page was seamless. In 2013, Gene Hackman released a book called Pursuit, a modern-day crime thriller. The story follows a former police officer who becomes a private investigator and finds himself caught in a dangerous chase with a clever and unpredictable enemy. Many critics liked the book for its fast-moving story and complex twists, though some felt it didn't have the same depth as his earlier historical novels. Still, Pursuit proved that Hackman could write well in both historical and modern settings, showing just how versatile he was as a storyteller. In a 2004 interview with Larry King, Hackman admitted that he had no upcoming acting jobs and believed his time in Hollywood was done. 4 years later, in 2008, while promoting his third book, he officially confirmed his retirement from acting. His last time being seen on television was during an episode of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, where he was spotted at a diner in Santa Fe. In 2011, someone asked if he would ever consider acting again, and Hackman playfully responded that he might, only if he could do it from home with as little hassle as possible. The marriage of Betsy Arakawa and Gene Hackman. There isn't a lot of information about Betsy Machiko Arakawa, except that she was born on the 15th of December in 1959 in Honolulu, Hawaii. She came from a Japanese background and was a talented musician from a young age. While attending Kahala Elementary School, she learned to play the piano and, by the time she was 11, she performed at the Honolulu International Center Concert Hall. A report from the Honolulu Star Bulletin mentioned that she played the final part of Joseph Haydn's Keyboard Concerto in G Major with the Honolulu Symphony Orchestra. Between the years 1981 and 1983, she attended the University of Southern California. During a summer break, she spent time as a cheerleader for the Los Angeles Aztecs, a professional soccer team, and also worked as a production assistant on the game show Card Sharks. As reported by the New York Times, Betsy met Gene Hackman at a gym in California, where she was working part-time while trying to build a career in classical music. In 1989, she played at the Altenheim Geriatric Center in Forest Park, Illinois, which was later featured as a German nursing home in The Package, a movie starring Hackman. After dating for 7 years, the couple got married on the 1st of December in 1991. Once they were married, Betsy stepped away from performing, but in 2001, she partnered with Barbara Lenehan to open Pandora's, a store in Santa Fe that sold linens and home decor. While she and Hackman didn't have any kids together, she became a stepmother to his 3 children from his first marriage to Faye Maltese. In an interview with the Irish Independent in 2000, Hackman admitted that having a famous father was not easy for his kids. He shared that he couldn't always be home when they were young, and that living in California meant they had to deal with the pressure of his success. It's pretty interesting that Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa's home in Santa Fe was actually featured in Architectural Digest in the month of April in 1990. The house, originally built in the 1950s, was in bad shape when they first found it. But with time, they transformed it into a beautiful and open space, blending Pueblo, colonial New Mexico, and Spanish Baroque styles. Hackman was very involved in every little detail, from deciding on the floor plan to mixing paint colors and picking out special design touches. Of course, Arakawa played a big part too. Whenever Hackman was away filming, she took over, making decisions and updating him with phone calls and photos. The two gathered furniture from local shops as well as stores in places like New York, California, and even Germany. Arakawa wasn't the type to be in the spotlight. She didn't have any public social media accounts, and she rarely gave interviews about her personal life. Hackman once told the Irish Independent that this was a conscious choice, explaining, "Where we live in Santa Fe, you can live your own life without getting caught up in all the gossip." According to a biography published by Simon & Schuster, the couple shared their home with 2 German shepherds. They actually had 3 before, but in 1999, they added a third. The Baltimore Sun reported that while Hackman was in Baltimore filming The Replacements, 2 stray dogs wandered onto the set. He made sure they were taken to a local shelter, where they were named Gene and Keanu after him and his co-star Keanu Reeves. Hackman and Arakawa ended up adopting the one named Gene. In 2020, Hackman shared a rare look into his private life with Arakawa in an interview with Empire. He mentioned that they often watched DVDs that Arakawa picked out saying, "We enjoy simple stories, the kind that small, low-budget films manage to tell so well." Gene Hackman's depreciating health. Remember when we talked about Hackman announcing his retirement? Well, in an interview from 2009, he explained that health problems played a big role in that decision. He mentioned a stress test that revealed issues with his heart, and that made him step away from the spotlight. As he got older, Hackman's health took a serious hit, making life much harder for him. He was diagnosed with advanced Alzheimer's disease and heart disease, and over time, he became more and more dependent on his wife, Betsy Arakawa, to take care of him every day. Back in 1990, he had to undergo an angioplasty to treat heart problems. Then, in 2012, something scary happened. While riding his bike in the Florida Keys, Gene was hit by a pickup truck. At first, reports said he had a serious head injury, but later, his publicist reassured everyone that he only had minor bumps and bruises. Hackman made a rare public appearance at an event in Santa Fe in late 2022. The last time he was seen in public was in March of 2023. His diagnosis was a heartbreaking shift in his life. The disease slowly took away his memory and ability to think clearly, making it hard for him to do the things he loved, like writing and painting. He also started to withdraw from people. Friends noticed that he stopped going out as much, and after the COVID-19 pandemic started, he and Arakawa became even more private, spending most of their time at home in Santa Fe. During this tough time, Hackman never really talked about his health in interviews. He had always been a private person, and he chose to keep his struggles away from the public. By staying out of the spotlight, he was able to deal with his illness in peace without the pressure of media attention. His wife, Betsy Arakawa, played a huge role in taking care of him. Friends described her as incredibly protective and deeply devoted. She became his main caregiver, making sure he was as comfortable as possible. She stuck to his medical routine, followed all the doctor's advice, and gave him the emotional support he needed. Their bond was built on love and mutual respect, and as his health got worse, she was by his side every step of the way. People close to them believed that without her constant care, his condition might have worsened even faster. Because of her dedication, Hackman not only lived longer but was also able to have some quality time in his final years. Hackman's kids from his first marriage, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie, were always there for him in their own way. Even though they respected his and Arakawa's need for privacy, they stayed in touch and helped whenever it was necessary. They didn't make a big show of it, but their support meant a lot. It made sure that Hackman and Arakawa had everything they needed, adding to the care and comfort Arakawa was already providing. As he neared the end of his life, Hackman's health struggles became even more difficult. His Alzheimer's got worse, making him more confused and less engaged with people. On top of that, his heart problems made him weaker and left him needing constant care. But despite everything, he found comfort in being at home, surrounded by familiar things. Through it all, Arakawa never left his side, making sure he was cared for in a peaceful and private space, far from the public eye. Discovery of deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa. The sheriff's deputies in Santa Fe showed up at Hackman's house on the 26th of February 2025 after getting an urgent call from a maintenance worker. The two workers who found the couple's bodies said the front door was slightly open, but when the authorities arrived, they didn't see any signs of a break-in. A deputy found Arakawa lying on her side on the bathroom floor, already deceased. A space heater was near her head, and there were scattered pills and an open prescription bottle on the counter. According to the reports, the deputy who discovered her said the heater might have toppled over if she had suddenly collapsed. Hackman was found in the mudroom, also showing signs of decomposition. A pair of sunglasses was on the floor close to him, and a deputy at the scene believed he may have collapsed suddenly. The maintenance workers told the police they had last seen the couple about 2 weeks earlier. A spokesperson for the sheriff's department stated there were no gunshot wounds or any other visible injuries on their bodies. The couple's dog, a Kelpie mix named Zinna, who was first mistaken for a German Shepherd, was found lifeless in a crate inside the bathroom closet, just a few feet from Arakawa. However, their other two dogs, a German Shepherd named Bear and another named Nikita, were found alive and in good condition, running around the property. Officials are still waiting for the necropsy results to confirm how Zinna died, but they suspect it might have been from starvation. The owner of Santa Fe Tales, the facility now looking after the surviving dogs, mentioned that Zinna had always been extremely close to Betsy, never leaving her side. The search warrant affidavit mentioned that Arakawa's face was bloated, and her hands and feet showed signs of mummification, a detail that has caught a lot of attention, Mummification happens when the natural breakdown of soft tissue stops. This can happen naturally in freezing or very dry and hot conditions, or it can be caused by artificial means. When this occurs, the body tissue hardens and dries out. Forensic experts say that mummification is often linked to social isolation and can start within just a few days under the right conditions. The Santa Fe Sheriff's Office reported that the last time anyone heard from Arakawa was on the 11th of February. That night, investigators say she used a key fob to enter the gated community where she lived with Hackman, and after that, no one saw or heard from her again. 1 week after officials confirmed that there were no signs of poisonous gas in their bodies, the cause of death for both Hackman and Arakawa was finally revealed. Hackman passed away due to severe heart disease, while Arakawa's death was linked to hantavirus pulmonary syndrome. According to the chief medical examiner, Arakawa likely caught hantavirus, a rare but deadly disease that spreads when someone is exposed to infected rodent droppings, especially in areas with poor ventilation. The medical examiner also noted that she had likely been dead for about 1 week before Hackman. In his case, along with heart disease, there were also signs of advanced Alzheimer's, though a spokesperson for Hackman's family had previously told CNN that reports of him having Alzheimer's were completely false. Investigators believe Hackman may not have realized Arakawa had passed away and that his health was already in a very bad state at the time. His pacemaker recorded its final event on the 18th of February, which suggests that was the day he passed. While going through the house, investigators told reporters they found some medications, including thyroid pills, Tylenol, and diltiazem, a substance often used for chest pain or high blood pressure. They also recovered some medical records and a planner for 2025. It's not clear if these were the same pills that authorities had earlier discovered scattered on the bathroom counter. In an email update, the Santa Fe Sheriff's Department mentioned that the New Mexico Gas Company helped them conduct a detailed investigation to check for gas leaks and carbon monoxide. However, they found no evidence that either had anything to do with the deaths of Gene Hackman, Betsy Arakawa, or their dog. The warrant stated that after the bodies were found, the gas company tested the gas lines around the house and reported no issues or leaks. Their findings were then shared with the Office of the Medical Investigator. Even though investigators have determined what caused the couple's deaths, the sheriff's office said the case will stay open until a few unanswered questions are resolved. This includes waiting for the results of Zina's necropsy and checking the contents of Hackman and Arakawa's cell phones. In an email to The Cut, the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office sent condolences to the Hackman-Arakawa family and assured that they worked with the family to make sure the couple's 2 surviving dogs were safe. Investigation into the deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa. After Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, were found dead in their home in Santa Fe, several rumors started spreading online about what might have happened to them. But after a thorough investigation, authorities dismissed these theories. At first, people speculated that the couple may have died from carbon monoxide poisoning, possibly due to a faulty heating system. However, the Santa Fe County Fire Department carried out a detailed inspection and found no carbon monoxide leaks in the house. On top of that, autopsy reports confirmed that neither Gene Hackman nor Betsy Arakawa had any traces of carbon monoxide in their system. Another theory suggested that the couple may have made a pact to end their lives, especially considering their age and health struggles. This idea gained traction after prescription medications were found scattered near Arakawa's body. But investigators clarified that these were routine medications for high blood pressure and thyroid issues, and there was no sign of an intentional overdose. Autopsy reports also showed no evidence of physical harm or ingestion of toxic substances, confirming that both had died from natural causes. Some people online questioned whether foul play was involved, thinking it was strange that both died around the same time. However, law enforcement officials conducted a full investigation and found no signs of a break-in, struggle, or anything that suggested homicide. The Santa Fe County Sheriff's Department officially confirmed that there was no foul play in their deaths. There were also claims that their deaths could have been due to neglect, especially since Hackman was in an advanced stage of Alzheimer's. But reports showed that Arakawa had been his primary caregiver, always making sure he was taken care of. Sadly, she became infected with hantavirus, a rare disease caused by exposure to rodent droppings, and she passed away around February 11th. Because of his Alzheimer's, Hackman likely didn't realize she was gone, and about a week later, he died from heart disease. At this time, no official announcements have been made about funeral arrangements for Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa. With all questions now answered, the investigation has come to an end. Public and media reaction to the deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa. Many actors in the film industry shared heartfelt tributes after Gene Hackman passed away. Clint Eastwood released a statement saying, "There was no better actor than Gene. He was intense and natural, never delivering a bad performance. He was also a close friend, and I will miss him deeply." Francis Ford Coppola also spoke about Hackman, describing him as a truly great actor, inspiring and brilliant in his craft. Prince William shared a statement as well, calling Hackman a true legend in film who gave every character depth, strength, and star power. During the 97th Academy Awards, Morgan Freeman paid tribute to Hackman, saying, "Anyone who ever acted alongside him knew how generous he was. His talent made everyone's work better." Freeman also mentioned that Hackman would always be remembered for his incredible performances and the person he was beyond the screen. Many other stars also honored him, including Dustin Hoffman, Glenn Close, Tom Hanks, Viola Davis, Bill Murray, Mel Brooks, Alec Baldwin, Gwyneth Paltrow, Josh Brolin, John Cusack, Ben Stiller, Michael Rosenbaum, James Gunn, Valerie Perrine, Nathan Lane, Antonio Banderas, Barbra Streisand, Hank Azaria, George Takei, and Jennifer Love Hewitt. The Guardian's film critic Peter Bradshaw reflected on Hackman's career, saying his passing marked the end of an era in American cinema. He called Hackman the kind of actor who always stole the scene. Fans on social media shared emotional messages, with one viral post saying, "Gene Hackman wasn't just someone who acted. He told stories that made characters feel real. Rest in peace to a true legend and his beloved wife." Another tribute read, "Their love story was just as unforgettable as his movies. Together in life, together forever." Many people praised Hackman's influence on film, with Viola Davis describing him as tough but also deeply human, and Nathan Lane calling him simple yet profound, kind yet fierce, with just a touch of unpredictability. Fans posted clips and famous lines from his most memorable films, including The French Connection, Unforgiven, and Superman, celebrating the roles that made him a legend. Betsy Arakawa, though not as well known to the public, was remembered for her elegance and talent as a classical pianist. A widely shared tribute said, "Betsy was the quiet force behind Gene's success. Her loss is felt just as deeply." Many posts focused on the couple's strong bond, which lasted over 3 decades, highlighting their love and devotion. One heartfelt message summed it up. "Gene Hackman gave us performances we'll never forget, but his most important role was as a loving husband. May they rest in peace." Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.